Okay, yeah. Good morning, students. Right. What I want you all to talk to the why I said that message yesterday was there have been some issues which I felt you all need to be very much clear about it. Now, what is this issue? This is based on your midterm feedback that mid-semester feedback which you all had given about the way you're like with regards to the internet, with regards to everything, with regards to modules. Now, with regards to internet issues that which you had said, right? So I thought I need to clarify on certain things. Some of you, it's not one or two have these misconceptions, not everyone. So, but I want to make it clear to all of you so that all of you are on the same page. One which you had spoken about the internet issues, right? Internet issues, yes, it is a very big issue which not just you all as students are facing, we are facing it too. Sitting here at RTC also we face it. It's not that you are the ones who are facing, you are having the problem with, really even we have problem with really sitting in RTC. We also face this, and this is an issue, common issue which has been raised, which the management is aware of it. Okay, so they're looking into it, how to make it better. So they're working on that also. So that was the first thing. Okay, the second thing, where when you spoke specifically about the module, like the first thing I would like to say is, like, I was happy with the way you wrote your feedback. You know why? Because I've been teaching you all in class how to, when we spoke about feedback, that feedback is not to criticize, it's also so that we are able to help each other to grow, we are helping each other to learn, improve. So I like the way you all actually wrote the feedback. So it also showed, I was telling to the peers and the other senior colleagues that I really appreciated the fact, the way you all wrote it, that it means that you all have understood the meaning of feedback, like how does it go. Okay, where you said what were the things that was positive, what went right, and some of you had some suggestions or a little of concern, which was done in a proper way, which the college never felt that it was a harsh thing, it was a suggestion. So that is one thing. So I would like to appreciate this. I really big appreciation for the entire class, the way you all have done that. Okay, now my question that comes up is the issues. There's one thing which you said, like I had one of you actually said that I was a bit fast. Now, it's very difficult, all of us know this, like when we talk, right? When we talk with each other, when we present, when we say something, it's very difficult for us to know if we are fast or if we are slow, right? So it's only who's listening, if the person can tell us that, could you please slow down a little, or you're a little fast, would the others get to know. Right. So I would appreciate if you tell me, even when I'm presenting, that, ma'am, if you could please slow down the pace, because it's difficult for me to know. Right. So that I appreciate that if you tell me. Then I get to know, okay, and then I'm a little fast, I can slow down. Otherwise, if you don't say anything, what I feel is that my pace is fine. Okay, that happens with everyone. We really do not get to know that. So that was one issue which was there. And then there's one of you have actually, it's one comments which has come, one of you have actually said that you have every week class activity, right? This is something which has been instructed by REP and from college also, that whenever we take a class for a particular day, either we have an assessment, that is a graded assessment which you see on the database, dates are given, or some in-class activity to see how far you've understood. And if you have actually seen, when we were having classes here at RTC in class, like in-person class, your module did not have a more assessment which was called class participation. It's only when we shifted to online classes did we start having this online the class participation, because that was something which was that issue was raised. Then why can we change it and have a component which is called class participation, so that students also get motivated, they also contribute. Like I want everyone to say, everyone to write, everyone to participate on it, because I am concerned with the entire class. I'm not concerned with one person or two-person. To me, there are 39 of you in the class B form section B, and I'm concerned with all 39 of you. If any of you have problems, facing difficulty, it's also my responsibility to see that you do not face the difficulty. So which is why we have that class participation, and most of the modules do have class participation. So which is why this class participation was included, and we did have that saying that it was told to us clearly that after every class that you take, if there are no assessment, give a small work to check how far students have understood. Okay, and we do have to give a feedback every week. Today, after your class gets over, after you finish your work, today's work, I have to fill up. There's an Excel sheet which we have to fill up. That's for every faculty throughout across department. What, how did the class go? What did I do in the class? What was the follow-up? What activity did I give you? So that is being checked by the college management. That is going to be presented to the external examiner. That is also being presented to REP. So that is the reason why we have the class activity. So this is one thing which I wanted to let you know, because one of you actually asked about it. Okay, there's one of you who actually said that I do in request, I do say that when you submit your work, which is a graded work, that both on VLE as well as classroom. So one of you did tell me that this is a little too much of work to put it. Now, as I was telling today in the morning, why I said that, if you are there, the thing is really sometimes does not work. You may have given it, but we are not able to access it. Problem comes up, so the grading can get delayed. You get your marks also later. That problem is always there. To avoid all those problems, because I want you to get back your work, graded work on time. I want you to give your feedback on time so that you learn, you improve. That is the reason why I said that really, of course, really is why, because for the external examiners to see everything, and whoever checks, that's there. But grading on classroom is easier. I get it. Even if VLE does not work, classroom works. It works for all the time. So that was the reason why I said put it on both. But when you are, that is only for the graded assessments. But when you have your class participation, it's always on the classroom page where you leave your class comments. That was the reason for my telling this. Okay, so if you feel that if it is too much of a work, then what I would suggest, you have one more graded assessment that is next week, right? So in that case, what you can actually do is the graded assessment that is next week, you can submit all through VLE. Then I'm not going to take anyone's assessment. If anyone is not able to submit your on VLE, not even through mail, I'm not going to take it. Okay, if you agree on that, then everyone has to submit on VLE. What do you think? What do you have to say? I just want an answer. What do you think?
We'll submit on both, ma'am.
You'll submit on both. Okay, this was done only for your benefit, not mine, right? Because I do check. You have
Okay,
seen that.
ma'am.
Okay, ma'am. Okay. So because I do check, right? And okay, one of you have said that okay, thank you, Chinle. Yes. So what happens is, there's one of you did tell me that, ma'am, if you could give us a little more time for submission, like when you're doing the work. I do give it. If someone has not been able to submit on time, I do give that time limit, but I also, if you are submitting a little late, I've still accepted it. Because why, it's because internet facility is not the same everywhere. That's the reason why that I do give time. I have said that, right? And where there has been a but why I exactly tell you, then the reasons why do I give you a time bound, to make you also practice to submit your work on time bound. You had that mid semester case analysis, review case analysis, where it was time bound. You had that 1 week, and you know what the consequences were. Those of you who could not submit on time, right? There has been like sometime beyond 5 minutes. If you are late beyond 5 minutes, your marks were deducted. Some of you may have got zero also. That was the reason why I said finish your work on time. You have to practice so that when you have these big assessments happening, you don't have a problem. You have a final exam also coming up. How it will be done, we do not know, but that will be time bound so that you don't have a problem. That was my reason why I said you do it within this time, and you should practice this to make you get ready with it so that you do not have a problem. Even for the mid semester case review, some of you had issues submitting on VLE. I mean, quite a lot of you had sent me on mail. You knew what was the problem. You knew what the problem was at that time. Because either because of VLE at the last moment it becomes a problem, it doesn't, because there was too much of rush at that time. Time management became a problem for you, some of you. That was the problem why VLE was not working also at that time, and that's why you all send me the screenshot and the your work through Gmail, to avoid that, to ensure that this does not happen. That's why I tell you within this time. Okay. Now there is one of you from your class had said that if someone is submitting late, there is a tendency they tend to copy from others, right? But what you all don't know is, I do know that, and I have spoken with those students individually. You all don't know this. I have spoken. I've spoken, and that's the reason. You know what? Even in the VLE as well as Google Classroom just tells me who's copied from whom. I don't have to do anything. It tells me who submitted first, who submitted later, and that's how it's very easy to know who's copied from whom. It's very much clear. It's very much clear. So and I have spoken with students who have been who in these cases. And what I also said is, what also happens is, every end of every class we do have to give a feedback to the college, how the class went, who all submitted work on time, and who all submitted late, who copied from whom, and who, like with whom I had to talk about it. All these reports are being submitted. So full report has to be given. So it's not that madam doesn't know or no actions are being taken. So I just wanted to clarify this. So be rest assured that madam does know about it. Very much, very much understood. Even if I do not have to check on Urkund, even if you do not, even if I do not check on Urkund, I can see by looking at your answer whether it's your answer, whether it's copied from somewhere, or whether it's someone's answer is a duplication, because the time tells me who has submitted first. I know this. So this is another thing which I wanted to actually talk with you to make you clarify on this issue. Okay, and there was one other thing which one of you did say, that if you could have group work, right? Group work which would also tell, because I've been talking to you about groups. I said individually we work, and but we also need to work in group to see how well we are working. Of course, we should be working, but given this situation, it's very difficult to know who is doing what. I have to just listen to you, believe you. It can so happen, and I have students telling me, "Oh, ma'am, It's me who's doing this work. That person doesn't do the work. This person does not do the work, and you all know that. To avoid that, and there has been students who have complained, whose parents have also complained to college about group work. Okay, so which is why no group work. You all have to work by yourself. I want to see how you are working, how you are working by yourself. Okay, that is the reason why no group work has been given. So we have minimized, and I didn't want any group work. Okay, if before your final exams, if we have some regular classes, then as part of your class participation, I'll give you some small group work to do. That I can do it. If your classes are happening here, if we can start the class before in regular classes, then it can happen. But otherwise, no. That's the reason why nothing. Okay, so this is with regards to what I had to say with the feedback session. Now the second thing is, the second feedback that comes up is, it is with regards to your last week's assignment that you all had done. Now last week's assignment, like the main, I had despite myself telling you repeatedly, or I've been telling you for different assessments, that please see the marking criteria. Quite a lot of you have not seen the criteria. The first criteria says identify the problem and analyze it. You all didn't do it. Most of you started with your solution, with the recommendation. How do you get marks for that if you don't do it? How will you do? And a couple of you have actually spoken with me. I told them, they wanted to ask me, ma'am, where did we go wrong and how can we improve? And I did open and I told them, well, you missed this. And they said, yes, ma'am. I said, that's where you lost your marks. You have to be very, very careful. If you don't do it, you're giving a recommendation. Quite a lot of you have given me recommendation, but then what was the second criteria? Recommendation and conclusion. Where was your conclusion? How do you summarize it? What do you have to conclude from that? You've given your recommendation. It's just nothing there. So you will lose marks if you do it like that. Where those who have done it properly have scored marks. That is there. That is always there. Okay, so that's with regards to your last week's assignment. Now, what I'll do today is, I will start with right now with the class, with today's class. I'll finish Unit 6 today. And let me first finish the class. Let me start taking the class, finish it. Then I'll leave the floor open for you for whatever questions, queries you have. Please start asking. Okay, so I will actually start with the class today. Okay, right. So today's class, as we were talking about groups and teams, so today we are going to talk about the first thing that we start. This is continuation of the last week's class that we had, where we started with teams and groups and teams. So today what we're going to do is, we start with the types of teams that we have. Okay, there are 5 different types of teams that we can find in an organization. The first that comes up is problem solving teams. Now, problem solving teams, problem means some common issues, some common objectives. Problems does not mean always mean it's a big problem, some negatively. It can be a positive thing. So what happens is, in this case, there is 5 to 12 employees of the same department, because each department has their own problems to solve, to achieve. So they meet every week for some hours to discuss how to improve the quality of the work, the efficiency, and how to improve the work environment of their department. So that's what problems is. Okay, the next that comes up is where we talk of project teams. Now, project teams here, what happens is, this is where you have group of people coming from different departments. There's a big project of the, say, of the organization. So what happens? You need to have, this is says from the marketing department, you have an HR department, you have a sales department, You have someone who's taking care of the international trade that is there. You have someone from R&D coming up. So different people coming up from different departments. They work together with someone who's leading the project, who is a project manager. They work together from different departments. They work together to complete a particular project on time. They plan it, how to do this project, how to complete the project on time, what are the milestones to be achieved. Okay, so that's and what happens when the project completes, it's completed, the team also breaks down. They go back to their respective department. Okay, the third type of teams that we have is a self-managed teams, where basically we have 10 to 12 people who are there who's operating without any manager. Why? Because they are all skilled, self-sufficient. They know how to complete the work. Okay, they are responsible. Each one of them is responsible. See this, how they are interrelated? All of them are interrelated with each other. They are all interrelated with each other. They are responsible. They do not need a guidance. They can work by themselves, and they are responsible for completion of the project, which is like, it could be delivering products, services to customers, or whatever it is. Project, the process, everything. They are fully responsible, and they work together. They are shouldering responsibilities. They share responsibilities. They divide the work amongst themselves. They do not need someone on top of them, the manager, who would tell them how to go about with it. They can take care of themselves. So it's self-managed. The fourth type that we have is cross-functional teams. Now, cross-functional is across departments, across departments. Okay, so it could be across departments, but the thing is, they are from the same hierarchical level, same level. Okay, if it's the managers, we take the managers, then the managers of all the departments. They're coming from different areas. They work together to accomplish a task. Now you can actually say, how is this different from a project team? Okay, project team also, we have different people coming from different departments. But project team is, there is no guarantee that they will be of the same level. It is not that. You can have people from different levels coming together and working. But when it is cross-functional, employees from different departments come, but they are at the same level. Level is the same. Okay, and the last type of teams that we have, it's virtual teams. Virtual teams is what? Virtual means where we talk of technology, virtual class. That's what's happening today. I'm sitting at RTC. You all are sitting in different parts of the country, but we are connected. That's what virtual team is. So we have experts. These are all experts who are up there, who have the same goals. They share their goals, they share their objectives. They're doing their work, but through technology. They do not meet in person. They meet through the help of technology. It could be through Meet, through Zoom. There are a lot of other medium of interaction, modes of technology through which they are interacting, and they are working. So that's where we talk of technology comes into play, IT and software technologies. They're interacting with each other, sitting in different parts of the world, interacting through the technology, and that's the way they're working. Okay, so the next topic, which is actually the last topic in this chapter, is what makes a team effective. What is it? What are the criteria? Okay, so we'll show this with the help of this model. Okay, this is a team effectiveness model. So you see there are different criteria: context, composition, work design, process. Let's actually start discussing each of these. Okay, now, when we look into context, right, adequate resources. Okay, so what happens that resources, the team has to rely on resources. There can be scarcity of resources, which can be a problem. So there need to be sufficient resources which is required for the team to work. That resource could be material resources, it could be financial resources, it could be anything, any sort of resources, it could be technology also. Next comes up is leadership and structure. Now what happens? There has to be an effective leader who has to be there, who would lead the team. Effectiveness comes when you have a proper leader. Okay, so agreeing where you agree to what should be the type of work that you're doing, what are the work ethics, like what is individuals work, and what are the, like, how do you integrate, how do you form a team based on the skills of different employees, how would you do that? Okay, and how do you distribute the work, who is going to take responsibility of what portion of the work, that is where we talk about it. Okay, climate of trust is where the team members should be able to trust each other, and also the leader, they have to trust, otherwise team cannot work. Next comes up is your performance evaluation and reward system. Okay, how, when we talk of performance evaluation, it is not just evaluating individually the members on the team, but also collectively. How effectively does the team work? Like individually, you may be very good, but when you work in a team, you cannot work with others. So it's a failure. So you should know how to work individually and also how to work with others. So that evaluation has to be done with proper reward system. Next comes up is composition. Composition, where we talk of abilities of members. Okay, now abilities, you cannot just take anyone and everyone in the team. It has to be someone who should have the right kind of expertise, who should be able to solve problems, right? Who should be able to make decisions, contribute in the decision making process, and have good interpersonal skills. Interpersonal means how to connect with each other, how to work, coordinate with each other. That skill is needed. That's called interpersonal. Okay. Then comes up is your personality. Personality means one, you cannot be an introvert. Okay, you cannot be an introvert. You should be social in the sense that you don't talk too much, that's not it is, but you should be able to open up, listen to people who has some experience, listen to it, and that you should be willing to take it. You should be able to, like, when the entire team is making a decision, is finalized on a decision, you should be also agreeing to it. You should be able to agree to it, not always saying no, 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 no. It's not that. You should be able to agree, you should be able to bend yourself, be flexible. Okay, next comes up is allocating resources. And I'm putting allocating resources and diversity together. Allocating resources is like, when we say allocate, the right kind of roles should be allocated to the right member. That should be there. If you ask today a HR person to take care of finance, then it's going to be a failure. Based on your skills, the work should be allocated. Diversity is, there is diversity. Each member of the team comes from different background, different culture, different society, different language. So you should be able to work, and that diversity brings in, enriches. So you bring, with your diverse background, you come with more a different type of culture, and that interaction of culture also enriches. That's important. Okay, size of the team. Size of the team, uh, smaller the better, obviously, because the efficiency comes up. So optimally, if you say it's 5 to 9 is the best. Okay, the members should be flexible. They should be flexible. Okay, you cannot be rigid. You, of course, it's not that you will always let others dominate you. That's not the thing. But you should be willing to listen to what others have to say. If someone is coming up with a better idea, you should be willing to accept that also. Similarly, others should be willing to accept what you have to say. Okay, the last one is in this composition is member preferences. The basic, when you work in a team, like if you cannot communicate with the others in that team, if you have personal problems, then it becomes a big issue. You cannot work. So the question that comes up is, do the members want to be on team? Do you really want to be on that team? Are you really looking forward to it? You feel, oh no, I don't want to work with these people, then you cannot force so nobody can force you. If you are being forced to work there, then the effectiveness decreases. Okay, next comes up is work design, where we talk of Autonomy. Autonomy is where we are talking of to work independently. Okay, you should be able to work independently also. There should be freedom given to you, and you should be working independently, and also the decision is made in a group, but you should be able to take your responsibilities, work independently, shoulder your responsibilities. That's where we talk of accountability coming into play. Okay, skill variety. Skill variety is in a team there has to be different kinds of skills. There should be a variation of skills, and one member should be there who represents the skills. Like when you have a project and you have a team who would be doing it, you should know what are the skills required, what are the things required, and you have to find out. You're the leader of the team. You have to find out who's the best person who would be able to suffice or just agree with the have that required kind of skills which would fulfill your objective. Task identity. The third is task identity. Is that's when we talk of why is the team formed, what is the task. So as a leader you should know what is the task, identify the whole task, and then break it up into smaller parts, smaller portions. That how many portions are you going to divide it, how is it going to work, who's going to take care of what, how much time. So work, when we say task, it's not just the entire task, but it's also breaking up into smaller tasks. Task significance, the last thing under work design. Task significance is where significance is whether it's the term significance here means whether it has an impact, whether it's making an impact on the entire work, whether it's making an impact on the team members, on everyone. So if the work does not have any impact, then what happens? We don't feel motivated. Why do you want to do that work if it doesn't affect me, it doesn't help me in a positive way? Okay, and the last one that we come up is process, where the first thing where we talk of common purpose. Okay, common purpose is what, when the team is formed, there has to be a common goal, a common purpose has to there. Why it's been formed, that should be clearly mentioned. Okay, and with the team leader giving a proper direction how to achieve that common purpose, and that common purpose should be something which is meaningful, which would help us to grow individually as well as a team. Okay, next is where we talk of specific goals. Goals, when we fix on the goals, that should be specific, not just saying okay that's a goal, but which should be specific, which can be actually you can actually quantify that goal. It can be where, because at the end of the project you should be able to see to what extent have you been able to accomplish the goal, what were the flaws, what were the good side, and how do you rank it. That should, you should be able to do that. And it should be something, the goal should be some, purpose and goals are related, because if you have a proper purpose, if the purpose is common, then it helps to accomplish the goal. Otherwise you cannot do it. Okay, next comes up is team efficacy. Efficacy comes from the word efficiency. Okay, your ability, the team members should have that confidence that they are capable, that able to achieve the goal. That should be there. Conflict, conflict levels, of course there will be difference of opinion, that is there. If you do not have difference of opinion, you cannot achieve your work. If you start agreeing to each other always, then it's problem. You can have some of your own opinions. So how do you work on that? So to some extent conflict is agreeable. What we say is conflict, if it is managed properly, is agreeable. Conflict which cannot be managed leads to problems. So this conflict we're talking of, which can be, which is agreeable. Okay, and the next that we come across is where we talk of minimizing social loafing. Social loafing, you know what? Where you are like, you would try to let others do the work. You try to avoid doing the work, let others do the work, and you want to take the credit out of it. So here what happens, when you work as a team and you know who is doing what work, when your work is clearly defined, it also helps. When you have a proper leader, it also helps to minimize that free rider problem of free rider. Like everyone has to take responsibility, you are accountable for the work. If you fail to perform, then people know who's responsible for it. So it also tells us that individual we are accountable for the work as a team, as an individual, and also as a team. That is definitely there. Okay, so this is what we have for in this chapter, unit 6. uh okay let's talk about, I'll leave the
Ma'am,
open the floor for you
ma'am,
with your questions. Tell me.
ma'am, can you
One at a time.
please re-explain the conflict level and social loafing, ma'am?
Increase, you're talking of the conflict level, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
And
conflict. Yeah, right. When we talk of conflict, conflict is difference of opinion, right? Conflict is definitely difference of opinion. Difference of opinion will come, no, when you work together. See for yourself, when you were sitting together in a class, or when something is being told, like you discuss, each of you have different opinions, right? So that's the conflict, is when different people have different opinions. Now, is it good? Is it bad? It depends on what is the level of conflict. Okay, if the conflict is to come up with a better idea, if it is to come up with something which is really good, a better objective, then it is good. But conflict, if you start fighting with each other, bashing each other, if it leads to chaos, if it leads to a problem in the organization, then that conflict is not good. So a bit of conflict means difference of opinion is needed, it's required. Why? Because it helps everyone. So you're 39 of you in the class, and myself, there are 40 of us. Like when we say something, we may have different opinions coming up, so we discuss and see, okay, so what can be done? And we come up with a better idea, which is the best, and that would benefit all of us. So that is agreeable. But if the purpose of having that conflict is to create problem, to ensure that the work does not happen properly, you're just doing it on purpose, then it's not a wise thing. So that's why I said conflict which can be managed. uh okay, yes, I'll explain common purpose, right? So what happens is, when we say we have to have a common, when we say the conflict which can be managed, then it's agreeable. But conflict which cannot be managed, which creates problem, that is not something which should be avoided. So this is where we talk of the your conflicts. What was the other thing, Kinzang? What was your other question?
social loafing, ma'am.
Social loafing. Okay. Social loafing is where we are actually, what we are talking of? We're talking of being a free rider, trying to be a free rider. That is a big problem, no? We face problems, you all face problems. Like when you work together in a team, there have been some, not always, but there are certain cases where students have been complaining to the faculties, to us, that this person in my group, this person doesn't work. We are working, others don't work. That is a big complaint that comes up. Why? Because what's happening? The person who doesn't want to work, wants to get the credit and let others do it. And people are doing it. But if it's a proper team and you have a proper leader who's leading it, where if your work is properly designed, allocated, each person is accountable for this particular work, then what happens? You cannot avoid, you cannot become a sole free rider. You have to do that work. Why? Because you will be judged. You're based on your work, how you're working individually and how you're working in a group. So proper team, it depends on who's the leader, how the work is being divided, how the work is being allocated, and there needs to be transparency, accountability. If a one particular work does not go on well, the person who is responsible for that work will be answerable, definitely will be answerable. So what happens if I want to become a social rider and I ask you, I want you to do my work, and my work, if that is not done properly, nobody is going to tell you anything. It's going to come on my shoulders. and I cannot tell that I did not do it, I asked you to do it, then what? I'll be thrown out of that team, I'll be thrown out of the organization. So that fear is there, and I have to do my own work. I have to do it by myself, and I also have to contribute to the team, work together. Because if I do not do my work properly, then the entire team would fail. To make me or any others who wants to become a social rider more accountable, more responsible. Is that clear, Kinzam?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Someone asked me about I don't know what common purpose. Yes, common purpose is what is the purpose of forming the group of that team? Common purpose. There has to be why are all the team members in there? There has to be a purpose. So that purpose should be common for everyone. Everyone. Only which should be meaningful, which should be able to give direction to accomplish the goal. Only then you can have it. So that's the meaning of common purpose. Okay. Any other questions from anyone? Does anyone have any other questions? Students?
No, ma'am.
If you do not have any question, what I want you to do is you will do a class activity today, which is already there on your classroom page, the streaming page. So you will write your answer in the class comments. Now, what I want you to do is, it's there. We have studied today 5 different types of teams, right? So I want you to find out a case for each of these types. One case of success and one case of failure. It doesn't have to be only from the corporate world, it can be from any organization around the world, and you just write in few sentences how it became, say for instance, virtual team, a case where the virtual team was a success and a case where it was a failure. So you will write in few sentences how it was a success as a virtual team, and a case where it was failure, how or why it would. I don't want to know how, but it would be fine if you write why it was a failure as a virtual team. So there are 5 different types of teams. So 2 cases for each of this: one success, one failure, and why do you think it was a success or a failure? Okay, that's your work today, and next week I start with unit 7, and you will have your last graded assessment on that day, right? And everyone has to work on it. And today, again, today's work, as I said, is it's all part of your class activity, which is part of your class participation. Those who are writing it gets the point, those who do not do it loses the point. I'm not going to run after you. Okay, and you will finish your work by 1 o'clock. I want you to finish it off. I'm giving you time. Try to finish your work on time. Okay, if there is any genuine reason for not being able to work on time, you have to let me know. Otherwise, it's going to be problem. Okay, try to work on time. Is this clear with all of
Ma'am,
you?
we want more time.
Huh? Yes, Nima? What? I didn't get you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay. Okay then, right? Okay. See you next.
We want
Yeah?
little,
Yes, Nima?
we want little more time.
You want little more time. Uh,
More time.
but how long? By 2
Yes.
o'clock? Is that okay? By 2 o'clock?
Okay,
Okay,
ma'am.
okay. I'll give you a little time. By 2 o'clock, everyone has to finish your work today. Okay? Okay. See you next week. Go to the classroom page and start
Thank
working.
you, ma'am.
Okay, okay then. Yes.